Eagles. What's going on? It's the bye week, and I watched pretty much everybody else play except for tonight's Monday night game. This is right before that happens. But I'd like to give you what I believe is a loss for us, even though we haven't even played this week, right? What do I mean by that? I watched other teams play, right? So I watched other teams play this week, and we play those other teams later on. So next we have the Browns, which are, for all intents and purposes, not a great team this year. Then the Giants, same. We got the Bengals, which will be hard. The Jaguars aren't that great this year. We got the Cowgirls. We got the Commanders, who are looking pretty dang phenomenal so far. We have to see how that goes, but so far they're looking awesome. They might be the NFC East winners this year. We got the Rams, kind of middle of the road. Ravens, which are looking great after that slow start. Panthers, again, not a really good team. Steelers, which are looking pretty decent. Commanders again. Cowboys again. Giants again. So pretty much a repeat of the same thing. I said in my last video that I didn't expect us to be undefeated this year by any means. I expected in between 10 to 12 wins. To be the ceiling, 10 to be the basement, and 12 to be the ceiling, right? So that means there's room to lose, what, 5 to 7 games, somewhere thereabouts. So being 2-2 really doesn't make me feel that bad with just the record itself, right? But it's how we are playing and how other teams are playing that actually makes me feel bad during the bye week. And let me let you understand something. I understand that this is entertainment. It's entertainment for the fans, right? You are a performer, and we are to be entertained by you. But it's your job, right? This is how you get paid. This is how you make a living. Besides commercials and endorsements, which only come because of the job that you have, right? This is how you get paid. So if you do a bad job, should you expect to get paid? Well, you do, because you have some guarantees in your contract that you're going to get paid no matter whether you play, you ride the bench, you perform well, you perform poorly. But there are incentives which are built in, like if you do better, do more catches, do more runs, more yards, whatever your stat is for your position, there are incentives to get more money. But bottom line, you are going to get paid. So I look at myself. I'm a regular person. I can't really be held to the same standard as an entertainer, right? There's no guarantees in my contracts. My job can fire me tomorrow. I'll be here today, gone tomorrow. And companies do that. But what is similar is if I am a poor performer, my supervision will let me know. Either by way of firing me, by way of talking to me, by way of coaching me, by any number of means, they'll let me know. So our way of letting you know you're doing a bad job is by either booing or putting out videos like this explaining our frustration with what you've been doing, or the fact that you lose, right? When you lose, you not all the time, because I've said before, you can lose and still play well, but losing when you shouldn't lose is an indication of poor performance. So out of those games, let's go back and look at it real quick. Out of those games, just what I think. I think you should beat the Browns, beat the Giants, lose against the Bengals, beat the Jaguars, split with the Cowboys, probably lose both times to the Commanders, if I'm going to be honest. Beat the Rams, lose to the Ravens, beat the Panthers, beat the Steelers, and then I'm hoping You beat the Giants twice. So what is that, right? We're 2-2. So forgive me for doing this. You know, I'm not a big editor type person. I'm just doing it on the fly. So here we go. We're 2-2. So 3-2, 4-2, 4-3, 5-3. We'll call it 6-3, 6-4, 7-4, 7-5, 8-5, 9-5, 9-6, 9-7, 10-7. So, based on the prediction I just gave you, 10-7, which should put us in the postseason, right? Albeit fighting for that wild card spot. Had the Cowgirls lost last night, I felt a lot better about it, but, you know, they pulled the wind out of their tail in on that one. But anyway, that's the overall prediction I have for the rest of the season. We'll go 10-7. To me, based on the talent that we have on this team, that's not good. That is not good. We should be doing better than that. We should win 2 more of those games that I predict that we're going to lose. Maybe split with the Commanders because they, like I said, they look legitimate, and maybe beat somebody else that I think we'll lose to. But in the postseason, all of that's not going to mean anything because now everybody is one and done. So you don't get the luxury of going, you know, loss here, win there, because your season's over. And I don't want the season to be over, and I don't think that you want the season to be over, right? I'm talking about you as the Eagles team, which I'm pretty sure you're not going to see this, but fans will. And I think fans agree with me. We don't want the season to be over in the first round of the playoffs or even the second round of the playoffs. At the very minimum, we want to go to the NFC Championship game and fight for our lives. And if we lose, we lose, but we gave it our all, but then hopefully go to the Super Bowl and then same thing again. If we lose, we lose, but we gave it 100% effort by everybody. And I mean everybody, coaches, players, water boys, you know, equipment personnel, trainers, everything. Everybody giving everything. So let's break down some of the reasons why I think that we lost this week, just from an outsider's view. Okay, where's the teamwork? Where is the camaraderie between the team? Right? To me, it doesn't really show. In times past, I've seen team members get along. They look friendly towards one another. They're not, even if they have an issue with one another, they're not going on other people's platforms talking about them, right? It can be true, right? What you say can be true, but that's your teammate. Why are we doing that, right? Maybe, you know, you josh it up with that person and you're like, hey, you know, I know you've done better. I know you can play better. How about we be better in the next game? That's just my thoughts on the camaraderie. It just seems like, one, we are not a team. And two, it seems like the real media is hell-bent on pushing agendas to push us apart, right? It seems like, to me, genuinely, the way the questions are asked is in a way made for you to point fingers at somebody else, right? And I tell you a good way that I believe you can deflect that. If somebody asks you, what do you think about XYZ's performance? Let's say you're on offense and they ask you about defense's performance. You could say simply, I'm not on defense. You'd have to ask them how they feel about their performance and let them critique themselves. I'm on offense. And for me, I feel like I did whatever job you think you did, whether you think you did well or whether you think you did poorly, and what you could have done better, right? Speak for yourself and for your position. Don't speak for the other guys, right? Unless you're complimenting them, right? Now, if you want to give a compliment, that's great. I think the defense did well. I think XYZ player did a phenomenal job stopping this run or making this play for us. But if you have anything negative to say, just leave it alone. Pass it off. Pass it off to them and let them own their own piece of the puzzle, right? Because it takes both pieces for you guys to win your matches against other teams. How do you guys prepare for games, right? This is one thing that I wondered about with the Tampa game. You know it's going to be hot down there. I'm from Philly. I am from Philly. I understand that it's not 109 degrees almost never, right? And then for you to run around and have to play in that, it's got to be daunting. How do you prepare for that? Is there a rule that says you can't go to Tampa earlier, or you can't find some sweat box and turn the temperature up to 100 degrees and do a workout or do something to physically and mentally prepare yourself for that heat? Because forecasts are out 10 days out. I can look at the forecast now and say, what's the weather going to be in Florida in 10 days? And get a plus or minus, let's say 5, 10 degrees of what it might be. And train in that environment. Find some place. You guys are millionaires. Your organization is worth lots of money. There's no way you're telling me that they can't prepare you for going out and playing in the heat. The same way the teams have to prepare to come and play in the link in the snow. If they don't do it, I mean, it's harder to do snow because you slosh around in it, but they can do cold weather, right? You can get in a giant freezer, giant meat box and be shivering and be cold and play in that cold, right? Are you guys watching films on the other teams, right? You know that they're weak against a certain type of technique, and you don't even go to that technique. You know they have no way to stop the run, and you don't run it. Or you know that they're weak in the middle, or this person in the secondary is weak or whatever. Don't you have stats on these other players? I'm sure that I can go on the internet and pull up stats. How fast does this guy run? Okay, you don't run that fast, so I don't need you to put you on that person defending you. Okay, they have somebody lined up against AJ or my other player that isn't as fast or isn't as quick on the turn or the break. You guys have to have this information. You got to have it, right? Create these bad matchups that they do to us. Create these bad matchups for them and work them to your advantage. Move your guys around. Don't have them always playing on the left or the right. Move them in motion, set them up at the beginning, whatever. But create these bad matchups based on what you see on film and what you know your guys are capable of. I can't see how it can get much more complicated than that to prepare, because it doesn't seem like we're doing that. What was I saying? Are you listening to sports media and listening to them tell you how bad you are and how the seasons are washed and you're not this, you're not that? You really shouldn't, but you're human, and I get it. It's hard to unplug from being a star and being in the public eye and not hearing either praise or, downtrodden things said about you. That's hard. But how do you use it? That's the most important thing. Not just hearing it, but how do you use it? Do you let it get you in a slump, or do you let it fuel your desire to make you better? If you're the person that puts you in a slump, then you need to break away from that. If you're the person that likes that likes to hear how you sucked so you can be better the next time and you can prove to yourself and to others that you can do better, then great. Absorb it all, take it all in, and use it as your fuel for the next game, right? That's how I would consume it if I were a player on both sides, whether it negatively affected me or positively affected me. Here's something else that I think you guys forget. Are you having any fun? It doesn't look like it to me. Well, let me retract that. We got guys on the field talking about, do you play 2K? And that's not the kind of fun I'm talking about, right? I'm not talking about the kind of fun where it distracts you from your job and you're worried about getting on the sticks later and trying to beat up somebody, or when you're going to go and get on your jet ski or drive your fancy car. I mean, are you having fun doing what you're doing? Playing the game of football, Are you lined up next to your buddies? And even if they're not your buddies, when you're on your own, are you exhilarated by what you're doing? It really doesn't appear to be that way for a lot of people. Some people it does, and you can tell. And other people, it just doesn't. You're like, man, I'm here for a check. Whether we win or lose is no big deal to me. And for those people, I say, get off my Philadelphia Eagles squad, right? This ain't the squad for you. If you're just here to collect a check, we're not here for that. Our fans, myself included, are not here for you to collect checks. We're here for you to collect W's and championships. That's what we want. We want another parade on Broad Street. We don't want to be embarrassed and have people talk about how our franchise is a joke. That's not what we want. When we wear this gear, it's like a badge of honor for us to say, I'm a part of this organization as a fan and as the heart of the organization and as the pulse of the organization behind the players, what they call the sixth man, if you will, in another sport. That's in basketball, right? We are that for you guys. We'll call it the 12th man, because there shouldn't be 12 on the field. Your 12th man is in the stands. I'm just really, really disappointed in the fact that I know you guys can do better, but you don't. And I'm sorry, but that's just really not good enough right now. Now, you got plenty of time to correct it. We're in week 5. There's lots more football to go. We can turn this around. Have you asked for help in your area that you play, right? Have you asked your coaches, your other players on your side of the ball, offense or defense, past players who've been really successful in your position, other players on other teams? You're not asking them for trade secrets, but you're just asking them, hey, I see you out there rocking it on your team. You know, how are you getting it done? How are you pulling up your bootstraps and making sure that you perform well? As long as it's not performance enhancement drugs, PIDs, or anything unscrupulous, it just comes down to hard work and maybe a different mindset or whatever, or more help from your teammates to do better. I'd say that would be advice that I'd be trying to look for, right? No matter where it comes from. I'll be trying to get that help if you haven't already asked for it. Even if you're performing well, there's nothing wrong with asking for help on how to improve. Or asking your teammates, how can I help you? What about that? Have you asked your teammates how you can help them be better? Hey, can I block for you a different way? Hey, Jalen, can I run a different route? Jalen, hey, can I pass it to you a different way? Defense secondary, hey, can we coordinate better on guys? Can you let me know, hey, I'm getting beat over here. Can you help me over here? Or whatever it is, guys, are we using the resources that are available to you to be better? That's a serious question. Because if you were, we shouldn't see the same product week after week. We should see improvement, even if it's slow improvement. We should see improvement steadily over the weeks to come. And look, since we're at the beginning of the season, you could potentially be bad for the next couple, 3 or 4 games, but then turn up the juice and win out and really have progressed to a point to where now you're playing with such rhythm and with such confidence that you can make it into the postseason and make that run that we all hope that you make, right? What about specific areas of the game, right? I'd like to speak on them real quickly. The run game. We got Saquon. He's basically our whole offense right now, and that shouldn't be. You have other receivers, tight ends, And again, I'm not a football guy, right? I'm not an analyst or an expert. But you have other players. Feed other players. Keep the teams guessing. Don't have them knowing, oh, it's going to Saquon. Up, it's going to AJ. Up, it's going to Smitty. You need to get that ball to every hand possible. Anybody who's open needs to get the ball. And if they drop it, listen, we gave you the opportunity. You didn't show up, right? Then you have nobody to blame. But if Jalen, if you're in the pocket scrambling, waiting on AJ to get open, and then you get sacked or you fumble, then that's on you, brother, because there's other players, there's other offensive players out there on the field. And offensive guys, you need to be getting open, scrambling. Did you watch Josh scramble around for like 10 seconds, then dive out of bounds and throw it back in bounds to make a play way down the field? Or do you watch these other guys like Lamar or Kyler, you know, guys that are scrambling around in their pockets or out of the pocket, excuse me, and making plays, dumping it off, quick throws, not always trying to go all the way down the field, making quick passes, running the ball. Do you see Derrick Henry? Do you see this man? He doesn't have the whole team on his shoulders every game. But this last game, the man ran all the way down the field when they needed him and got the W for them. Because every team's not going to be susceptible to the run, and every team's not going to be susceptible to the pass. You got to pick these guys apart. These coaches, don't think it's all on the players. Coaches, what happened to adjustments? What happened to recognizing you're getting beat with your game plan and going with another whole game plan? You need to come into these games with plan A, B, C, all the way to G to make sure that your players are successful. Okay? They're eating you up in the passing. Run it. Run it. Run it. Run it. Run it. Run it until all they can do is put everybody on the line to stop the run. And now once they've done that, you open up the pass. Or opposite. You're running it, and they're stopping it every time. Okay? Start passing it a little. And then don't get complacent. Don't think just because that's working that it's not going to fail at some point during the game, and then you have to switch it up and you have to go to something else. You just got to be flexible. And we're too rigid. We're too stuck in a rut. Our team isn't operating with the type of flexibility and with the type of fluidity. That's the word I was really looking for. Fluidity needed to beat some of these teams. We're just one note. And by the time the coaches on the other side pick up on that one note, we're done. We are done. You look at the Saints game, right? No points until the fourth quarter. And then what we do, we give it to Saquon. Why weren't we giving it to Saquon earlier? I have that question in every game, but why aren't we doing that? Why aren't we lining 2 or 3 guys up in the backfield to run it and shred these teams that can't stop the run? I try not to get a headache over sports, right? Because why? It ain't getting me no paycheck. I mean, I enjoy high-fiving my grandbabies and texting my friends about the win and being happy about what we do, or going home to see a game, go home to see my friends and we talk about the game. You know what I mean? Going to the sports bars and hugging and high-fiving everybody and being cheer. I enjoy that. And that's kind of a stress relief for me away from my daily grind. I don't think you guys get that. I really don't think you understand that about sports and how it, yeah, we're not out there sacrificing our bodies, but there is a innate sort of pleasure that we get from watching you win and watching you perform well and watching you beat other teams, especially if you beat them handily. But when you've done well and we have something to brag about. We brag about you like we on the team, which I know is kind of funny, but that's what we do. And not only that, guys, but you can say don't do it, but we spend our money on you too, right? This stuff isn't free. Your organization isn't handing out free hats and free shirts and free jerseys and all of that. And some of them are like ridiculously priced too. I don't buy them. I wait for them to get some sense and be reasonably priced. And then I try to take good care of them over the years, but that's neither here nor there. We also show our loyalty to the franchise by buying merchandise and buying tickets and traveling to other cities to cheer you on. And do you know how bad it feels as a fan to, say, fly all the way to Frisco or fly all the way to wherever, to Tampa, to show our support for you, to know that you have the capability of beating the team that we came to watch you play, and then you play like that type of loyalty doesn't mean anything to you, right? You have fans that don't even come to home games for their teams. But you got Eagles fans flying all the way to Brazil to cheer you on. You have Eagles fans going all the way to Florida, will cross the country, will cross the globe to support you and to cheer you on. And then you don't come to the game prepared. You don't come to the game to play your best ball, to show your appreciation for the people who root for you and for who believe in you. That's not a good feeling. It really isn't. I'm in this now. I've been talking for a long time. Again, I don't claim to be a football expert. I don't claim to know every stat of the Eagles for as long as I've been watching them, as long as I've been enjoying them. No. When you're winning, I'm happy. When you're sad, when you're losing, I'm sad. But you're always my team. Right? The one thing that separates an Eagles fan from some of these other fans, and I'm pretty sure you know who I'm talking about, is we are rational. If we suck, we say we suck. We are not professing at the first snap of preseason that we're going to the Super Bowl. As a matter of fact, all last year, even when we were 10-1, we were worried. And we were 10-1 after that Bills game. The last time I felt like super high on the team. And I mean, I felt high on the team. I wasn't 100% confident, even with the best record in the NFL, that we were going to win the Super Bowl. I had no idea what was coming after. But I wasn't like, oh yeah, it's a lock. We're going to the Super Bowl and we're winning. I thought we could be competitive. Turns out we weren't. But that is a real Philly fan for you, okay? We understand, and we are going to go with what we see and not what we feel. We feel like you can do better, but we see that you're not. And that's why you have the response that you have. Please do better, guys. If you guys make the Browns, I know I said I was ending, but I'm really ending now. If you guys make the Browns look good, like you do sometimes when you make a bad team look like they're really good after everybody shellacked them all over the place. And this is no dig on you, Browns. You're a professional football team. But I don't believe this year that you're the caliber of the Eagles. I'm just being honest. But Eagles, if you make them look good and make it a tight game, I think I might be willing to say that this season will just be more team building exercises, and maybe next year we'll see what happens. I might be ready to say that. We'll see. We'll see how the game goes. Again, Hurts, love you. Eagles team, love you. I know you can do better. Just do it. Please do better. Please be better for all of us. We appreciate you. Fly, Eagles, fly.